Welcome to Baby Dribble, proudly sponsored by SweetDreamers. Baby Dribble is a fun, friendly and free parenting advice channel. Welcome back to the Baby Dribble podcast, and today myself and Lucy are very excited to be joined by our special guest, Katie Hilton. Hello, Katie.
Hi.
Katie is a dual qualified nurse, midwife and health visitor, so we're in very good hands on the Baby Dribble podcast. We'll be covering everything from newborn sleep to our Instagram followers Ask The Midwife questions. But before we get to that, Katie, would you mind just telling us a little bit about your background and your current roles now, please?
So I am, like I say, a nurse, midwife and health visitor. So I've got, I believe this year it'll be 17 years experience.
Wow.
Seems like ages ago. So worked in various areas, predominantly labour, ward and postnatal. I've done a little bit of community midwifery, health visiting, so working with parents from birth up to 5 years of age. And then I also spent a couple of years working out in Canada, in Vancouver, as a perinatal nurse on the maternity wards. And then now I work with MAM, so I am their expert midwife and health visitor. Massively varied role, so I do all of the shows with them, so the baby show, baby and toddler show, obviously offering parents advice. We do advice for parents on social media.
So you're the lady to come to.
Yes.
Any questions?
Yeah.
Just grab Katie.
That's it. Fantastic.
Right.
We need a resident midwife here.
Yeah, we do.
Any questions we've got, we'll throw your way.
You know where to send them to.
That's it. Fantastic.
Oh my God! So we're really in for some fantastic advice from a professional in the know. So let's get started with some discussion around newborn sleep. But it's important to let our listeners know that although we can give guides to the following questions, which has been possible through years of baby research and looking at trends, each baby's sleep patterns and personality vary, and there can be outside factors affecting little ones too. So if you feel that anything is not quite right with your baby, be sure to consult your midwife, GP, health visitor, and will always be able to help. So let's get started. So Lucy, you've got some questions here to fire away.
Yes, these are some that we've had through different, we've done a podcast before on baby sleep, so we've taken bits from those. So we're asking the professional.
Yes.
How much sleep is normal for a baby?
Okay, so very kind of open-ended question because, as we've already said, every baby is different. And often I'll get asked questions from people who say, my baby should be sleeping more than this during the day, and they're awake all the time during the day. So like I say, every baby is different. On average, I want to say a newborn baby, they sleep anywhere between 16 to 18 hours of each day in a 24-hour period. Might not seem like that to a lot of parents. They might say, my baby is always but they are. But they do sleep 16 to 18 hours of each day, and obviously they wake up for things such as a feed, nappy change, a little bit of a cuddle, and then as they get a little bit older, you'll start to see that decrease. They'll have more periods of being awake and wanting a little bit of more interaction. So that's when you can bring in things such as some other developmental toys, so things such as black and white toys and things like that for them, which they can see well. So that's kind of your average for a newborn baby, really.
I think what it's shocking is because you think you're not sleeping. It's probably because they're waking up through the night, and that's what's making you tired, even though it might be for little bits at the time. It's because you don't get the consistent sleep throughout the night as a parent with a newborn baby, which I think anybody who's a parent can relate to that feeling of sleep deprivation. Okay, brilliant. Can you sleep train a newborn?
So I've given so many parents advice on kind of sleep training techniques and how to use them. A newborn baby doesn't know the difference between night and day. They have no idea until they get to around 12 to 16 weeks of age, when they start to notice the difference then, and their circadian rhythms kind of kick in and they notice the difference between night and day. So I wouldn't generally recommend sleep training a newborn as such, but what I would talk about is developing a routine from birth so that they start to recognise certain things that happen at certain times of day. So, you know, things you can do such as turning off things such as TVs and radios that are a stimulant to them, dimming any lights that you've got, closing curtains, getting them into the routine that at a certain time of day they go upstairs, they have a bath, they have a baby massage, they have a story, they have a feed, and then obviously into their own sleeping environment. And I think if you can start that routine as early as possible and keep with that routine, that's going to be a good thing as baby gets a little bit older, because they recognise that then as being, you know, part of their bedtime, and that this is sleepy time, really.
It might be a shock to them.
It's
just what they do every day.
Yeah, so I think rather than using things such as sleep techniques and things like that. I mean, obviously when you've got babies as they get a little bit older, if they are really, really struggling, and I tend to say kind of 3 months, 4 months plus, really, if they're really struggling to kind of figure out what to do, then perhaps introduce those techniques then, but I think not for a newborn, really.
Brilliant. Should you wake your newborn to eat?
Very much depends on the baby. Yeah. So if you've had a baby who is perhaps a low birth weight baby, perhaps born a little bit prematurely, then it's going to be important for those babies to eat kind of more on a schedule, really, because they need that growth and that development. So, and I think, again, it depends on whether it's daytime and nighttime as well. I think if you've got a baby that's growing and developing well, and say they're kind of 3 months old and they're starting to sleep longer in the night, but you're thinking, well, they kind of should be due a feed now, I wouldn't be waking that baby in the night. I would be kind of praying that actually this is baby going to be sleeping a little bit longer through the night now, and I'm going to get the longer sleep myself. I think if it's in the daytime and baby's gone perhaps more towards an hour over their feed, then I would be thinking, okay, let's wake this baby. Because again, if you can get more feeds in during the day, you've got a better chance that your baby's going to sleep longer in the night, which, like I say, again, is going to be something that's positive. But again, very much depends on the individual baby. Feeding now, both breastfeeding and bottle feeding is always going to be on demand, which a lot of people are surprised about when you say about bottle feeding being on demand, but the research does show that is better for a baby to feed them on demand. So I think on demand, within reason, dependent on the baby. Like I say, if you've got a baby that was perhaps born at 32 weeks and they've not long come home, they're going to need that feed.
That makes sense, doesn't
it? There's always that saying, isn't there? Never wake a sleeping baby. But sometimes you're questioning it. You're like,
let sleeping dogs lie.
No, not that one. Definitely not that.
Not dogs.
Not dogs. I've often thought that when he was sleeping, he was going out, and I was thinking, well, people tell me not to wake
I think
him,
it's really bizarre when they first start to sleep longer as well with a newborn, because you almost feel on edge, like you're sitting there watching them, and particularly even if it's night and you think, well, I should be asliep actually because they're sleeping, and but you're sitting there looking over the edge of the crib watching what they're doing. Or you're going to wake up.
You're supposed to be waking up now. You're still asleep.
Brilliant. And actually that brings us on to, when should your child be sleeping through the night?
You're going to laugh at me. I'm going to say a very open-ended question again. And every baby is different. I was very lucky with my little boy. He slept through the night from 3 months of age. But, you know, everybody is different. And every baby is different. I frequently get questions from people who've, you know, got babies that are 12, 15 months old and they're still not sleeping through the night. Generally, babies are going to need to be fed during the night up to around about 8 to 10 months of age. Because if you think you're not introducing solid foods until they're 6 months, and they're only having very small amounts then. So often it's only as they start to have more feeds during the day, more solid foods, that they start to feel a little bit fuller, and then they start to go longer at night. But like I say, every baby is different. And, you know, I'll often get people saying, well, my baby's 3 months and they're not sleeping through the night. And it's important to recognise that actually babies of 3 months of age wouldn't normally sleep through the night.
I was waiting for 3 months. When that 3 months came and went, I was shocked.
You expect, And I think it's about being kind of open and honest and realistic with parents, with expectations, really, that you know, often babies are still feeding in the night, even if it's just one feed, you know, right up to 8, 10 months, sometimes 12 months of age. But you may well be that lucky parent whose baby does sleep through the night at 3. I don't even know how I did that. I don't.
You're a midwife. It's bound to happen.
I don't think I could do it again. No idea
enough.
what happened.
Tell us your secret. You must know something.
Sling. He was carried in a sling for months.
Perfect. And actually, that leads us on to, do you have any tips that can help unsettled babies sleep better?
Yeah. So I think if you've got an unsettled baby, the first thing that I would always suggest parents to look at is look at their sleeping environment first of all. Are they unsettled? Because simple things such as, are they a little bit too cold? Are they a little bit too hot? Is it their temperature? Because obviously they can't communicate these things to us. So such as, like I say, looking at the room, looking at the bedding that they've got. I'm a massive fan of sleeping bags for safety reasons. I just love the security of knowing that your baby is asleep in a nice kind of safe little kind of pod really, and cosy. You can use things such as a soother, and a lot of people don't realise with soothers that actually babies are, I've got one here actually, this is our glow in the dark one. So a lot of people don't realise that the safe sleep recommendations are for babies to settle to sleep with a soother. We know that babies who are settled to sleep with a soother have a lower risk of things such as sudden infant death, which I don't like to talk about too much, but the advice is there, and it's been proven that somehow that helps to reduce the risk. So settle them to sleep with a soother. And you know what I think as well, if that helps them to settle and to be relaxed, then that's a good thing. So Mam do the glow in the dark soothers.
With my grandson.
They're
really
fabulous.
Good.
So the little knob in the middle just glows in the dark, and you just hold it near a light or put it in the sunlight during the day, and that will charge it up for you. A little tip that I always use for people as well, because sometimes people will say, oh, my baby wakes up when they can't find their soother, is to have about, you're gonna laugh at me, have about 10 of them and scatter them all around the cot, so that as baby gets a little bit older, they can always find one.
Exactly.
So soothers, good tip there. And then, things such as, obviously Ewan, we could use Ewan there. So we've got the 4 soothing sounds in Ewan, combined with resting heartbeat, which obviously a sound that they're used to from when they were inside mum's womb. So it's a nice, comforting, relaxing sound for baby. And we've got the nice kind of pink glowing light, which is going to be soothing and calming and relaxing for them as well. And then I love your feature of the auto cry sensor. I love that because I think I think if you can avoid having to go into your baby at night, and if you go into your baby sometimes at night and you're trying to get them used to settling themselves back to sleep, it can be counterproductive. So if you've got something that, with Ewan that's going to automatically come on and bring on that kind of soothing light and those soothing sounds. So I always advise parents when their babies cry in the night, the automatic instinct is to jump up and to go straight away into your baby, but just kind of sit and stay just for 5 minutes and just see if little one will settle themselves to sleep, because often they will, and it's important that they learn how to do that and how to settle themselves back off to sleep, because they will wake frequently during the night, and if they don't learn how to settle themselves back to sleep, it almost kind of ends up being kind of an endless routine that you have to go in every time they wake up during the night. So it is important that they do that really. And then obviously your bedtime routine things as well. So following that bedtime routine right from birth, get them into the routine of having a nice relaxing bath. Put something such as some lavender or some chamomile or something in the bath. Get them into a routine of baby massage, which you can learn those techniques from when baby's 6 weeks of age. Nice relaxing technique. So they would be my kind of main techniques there.
Tips. That's brilliant. So I'm sure that those tips are very well received by our listeners. Thank you for that, Katie. And now we're going to take a look at some Instagram Ask the Midwife questions.
Okay.
That we've got.
Thanks
for everybody.
Thanks
for everybody who sent in the questions. We're going to try and get through as many as we can. So Lucy's got a few there, haven't you?
We picked quite a few that hopefully cover a lot of what everyone was asking us. So this was quite a nice one, a bit different. But any tips for an aspiring midwife? What do you think of new apprenticeships?
Okay. So it's been a while since I trained as a midwife. So tips. So you're going to need GCSE and A-level wise. Firstly, you're going to need your English, maths and science. They're key ones. It's very competitive, midwifery, so trying to get onto the course can be very, very competitive. There's often a large number of people who do apply for the course, so apply for numerous universities and don't limit yourself to just one. And then if you do get an interview, try and do things such as seeing if you can volunteer to spend the day with either a community midwife or an independent midwife. Sometimes the independent midwives who are private midwives are a little bit more open to having somebody go along and spend a couple of days with them to learn about what the role is all about. And I think, you know, if you do get an interview for a midwifery place on a course, study as much as you can, learn about recent NHS policies related to midwifery, and be as up to date with things such as recent research that's come out and news within the field of midwifery.
Well, that's great tips.
Thank you. Actually, I didn't see who that was from. That was from Page.ah. So
good luck, Paige.
Page.
This
is from Jamface09.
Fabulous name.
His question is: I had gestational diabetes in my first pregnancy. Am I likely to get it again?
So if you have had diabetes in your first pregnancy, it's not a given that you will get it in your second pregnancy. However, you are at a slightly increased risk. You will be screened early in your pregnancy anyway, just to see if there's any diabetes there creeping in, but they will keep a closer eye on you as well. You know, when they're kind of checking your urine and things like that, they'll be checking for signs of glucose and stuff like that that might indicate.
Okay, oh, brilliant.
Thank you. Okay, so this is from tiff.i.am. Bit of a will.I.am going on there. And it was, do you have any tips for encouraging a baby to not be breech? I'm only 29 plus 2, but she's awkward.
I hope she doesn't stay awkward.
This is it.
I hope she doesn't stay awkward. So you're still relatively early in your pregnancy. So I wouldn't worry too much if baby is breech now. If baby is still breech when you get to kind of around 36 weeks, then we might be kind of thinking,
George, right up to the last minute, and then he turned around right by himself again.
Yeah, they can do. So things that you can do to help kind of reduce the risk of breech: get yourself on all fours at home, stick the telly on and get on all fours, because being on all fours is known to be a really good technique to help rotate baby round. And things like bouncing on a gym ball, things like that. So
you're going to say jump up and down on a track.
You could try that. That might bring on labour as well.
Yeah. See, we're not sure.
Might break your waters. I don't know about that one. And there are some complementary therapies out there as well. There's something called moxibustion, which is a complementary therapy, which is a technique known to help kind of turn a baby round. Don't quote me on kind of the success rates of it, but it's available, it's out there. And then other things, you know, if you do get kind of towards delivery and baby is still breech, they'll offer you something called a external cephalic version. So the doctors will do a technique to turn baby, and if they're successful in turning baby, they'll induce you straight away and get you straight into labour. So hope baby turns for you.
Yeah. I think we've only got time for about 2 more, so I'll just pick a few.
Random picking.
That's it. This is from Crazy New Mama.
Oh, fabulous names.
Can you conceive when breastfeeding and not having a period yet?
Yes, you can. Yes, you can. So if you are exclusively breastfeeding, and that means literally feeding baby every 2 hours for a good 20 minutes, that can stop your body from ovulating. However, if you had a feed that was a little bit late, or baby perhaps didn't feed for very long, that can actually cause your body to then ovulate just that once.
Yeah.
So I would never rely on breastfeeding as being a technique of contraception to prevent pregnancy, really. It's very difficult to kind of rely on.
That's a good one. Okay. And then this one's quite interesting. This is from life.homeloves. I'm 37 weeks, baby number 2. Should I be buying a Strep B home test kit?
Okay, very interesting subject in the media a lot at the moment. So we don't, in the UK, we don't offer automatic testing for every single mum for Group B strep. Okay. Some countries around the world do. We don't, unfortunately, in the UK. There are private test kits available out there, which I believe are relatively reasonably priced. I think they're around about the £30 mark, and it will give you a result of whether you're Group B positive, GBS positive or negative. If you are positive, they will offer you antibiotics in labour until baby's born. Obviously, if you're negative, you don't need to worry about it. If your water breaks and you're known to be positive, they will only give you 24 hours before they induce you, because obviously you have the risk of the GBS getting into the uterus then. I think it's personal choice, to be honest. It wouldn't kind of be right for me to comment one way or another. I think it's personal choice, and I think, if it's reasonably priced and it's something you feel comfortable with, then go ahead.
Brilliant.
I think that's all we've got time for. So thank you, everybody.
Questions.
Thank you.
Brilliant. And now we're going to swiftly move on to our fabulous giveaway that we've obviously teamed up with MAM, and they've offered a chance to win one of 30 of their new design anti-colic bottles, and you were going to give us a rundown, weren't you?
Just kind of. So we've got the nice new design on there. So we've got the nice zebra and the flamingo on there, perfect for the spring and summer. So the teat, you've got a really flexible, soft silicone teat there, enables baby to use the same technique as feeding at the breast. So if you've got a mum who's combination feeding, baby, you can easily go between breast and bottle without any confusion there. Anti-colic, we get fabulous results from parents who use these with colicky babies. And self-sterilising, everybody loves the self-sterilising feature. So you can sterilise one individual bottle in the microwave. It takes just 3 minutes, so great if you're going on holiday, or if you just don't want to buy into a whole system, you can just use your microwave to sterilise them.
Actually, my son uses those with Frank. They're brilliant.
Yeah, you see them absolutely everywhere.
Good.
And the anti-colic, because
I've got some in my cupboard next time. There you go.
That's always good. Because the anti-colic's built into the base of the bottle, it vents air through the bottom, so you never get any air mixing with the milk at all.
Really
which is, obviously air is thought to be what causes colic. So
brilliant. Perfect. So if you want a chance of winning one of those amazing bottles, all you've got to do is email the word bottle to prizes@sweetdreamers.co.uk, and that's by midnight on the 26th of April. And that's competition is open to UK and Ireland entries only, please, and entrants have to be aged 18 or over. So thank you so much for coming along, Katie. It's been brilliant hearing all that expert advice.
Could have done with that a while ago.
So, rewind.
So if anybody wants to send me any questions, they can send me them through either the MAM website, there's an Ask the Expert section, or they can find me, MAM Midwife, on Facebook, and they can also send messages through the MAM social media pages as well if they want to.
Brilliant. Thank you, Katie. And all our Baby Dribble content can be found on our blog, YouTube, and at sweetdreamers.co.uk/Baby Dribble. So thanks again, and bye for now.
Bye.
Thank you. Hey guys, really hope you enjoyed this episode of Sweet Dreamers Baby Dribble. If you did, please share and pass it on, and let us know what you think.